Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down Chapter 111 today, A Secret Criminal Organization.
And the name is a perfect summary of the darkness we're about to step into. It sounds less like a pirate crew and more like a government intelligence agency gone rogue.
Oh, absolutely. But forget the beginning for a second. We have to start at the end. We just have to. Because this is one of those endings that redefines a series. Luffy, our captain, the man who values his friends above all else, looks his first mate, his very first crew member, dead in the eye and says he's going to kick his ass.
It's a foundational crack. This is the first time we've seen a true, serious fracture between them. We've seen them bicker. We've seen them compete over who can catch the bigger dinosaur. But this is different. This isn't a gag or a squabble over meat. This is real, visceral anger.
It is. There's no goofy face, no thought bubble about food, just pure, undiluted rage on Luffy's face. And on Zoro's? Utter confusion. It's a full-on tragedy of misunderstanding playing out in real time. This is the kind of chapter that makes you want to build a whole new ship just to have enough room to talk about it with your friends. You know what? If you have a Nakama who's lagging behind on the story, send them this episode. This is the signal flare. Tell him Inherited Dawn says it's time to catch up, because the Grand Line is not waiting for anyone.
A signal flare. I like that. But to understand the explosion, we have to look at the fuse. And that fuse was lit the moment the party started. It all started with Nami.
Of course it did. The chapter opens and the party's over. Everyone's knocked out from drinking. Igaram is freaking out, panicking because Vivi's in danger and he's the only one awake. Or so he thinks. And then Nami. Nami is stone cold sober. She sits up, perfectly fine, and reveals she was playing possum.
She said she never lowers her guard, especially at a party thrown by strangers. It's such a powerful character moment because it's a direct line back to Kokoyashi Village, back to 8 years of living under Arlong. She knows what it's like to be betrayed by a smile. She knows what happens when you trust the wrong people. For her, a town full of people offering free food and drink isn't a party. It's a potential trap. It's a survival instinct.
You're so right. For Luffy, a party's a party. For Zoro, it's a drinking contest. But for Nami, it's a strategic situation to be analyzed. And Zoro's just annoyed that she can hold her liquor better than him. He's all groggy, like you were faking it. The man's pride is wounded. But the best part, the absolute best part, is her demand. Igaram is begging for their help, and Nami doesn't say, "Of course, we're friends." She goes straight to business. Protect the princess? Sure, for 1 billion belly.
She didn't even blink. It's easy to read that as simple greed. Of course, that's part of Nami's character. But it's more than that. I see it as Nami taking control of their narrative. By putting a price on their services, she's formalizing their role. They aren't just chaotic pirates getting dragged into a situation anymore. They are a private security firm, and she is the chief financial officer. She's negotiating a contract for services rendered. It's her way of creating order and predictability in the chaos of the Grand Line.
A 1 billion belly contract. That is a super price tag, and it shows how much she already values this crew. Think about it. What was Arlong's bounty? 20 million. Don Krieg had 17 million. She's pricing their service at 50 times Arlong's entire perceived threat level. She knows what Luffy and Zoro are capable of. She has seen their potential, and she's the first one to put a number on it, and it's a huge number.
It's an investment in their own future. She's not just thinking about the next island, she's thinking about the entire journey. A journey that requires a massive amount of capital, as we well know. Ships don't repair themselves.
Exactly. And of course, a contract that Zoro wants no part of. He's just woken up with a headache, and now Nami's roped them into a political assassination plot. He's like, this is your scheme, you handle it. He wants nothing to do with being a hired bodyguard. It goes against his whole wandering swordsman vibe. And Nami just hits him with the ultimate trump card.
The Logue Town loan, the foundation of their financial relationship.
The loan she'd loaned him back in Logtown to buy his katanas, a debt with an interest of 200,000 belly that he probably thought she'd forgotten about in all the chaos. But Nami never forgets a debt. She offers to wipe the interest, not even the principal, just the interest. And just like that, Zoro's on board. He's cursing her name, wishing her a terrible death, calling her a she-devil, but he's standing up to do the job. That is peak Straw Hat dynamics right there.
It's the unique glue that holds them together. It's not just loyalty and dreams, it's these ridiculous personal little bonds. A life debt, a financial debt, a promise over a hat. All of this high-stakes negotiation is happening while their captain is blissfully wandering off into the night to find a place to pee.
Luffy has no idea any of this is happening, the most important business deal of their journey so far, and the captain is completely MIA, looking for a rock to go behind. But that's the trust, right? He knows his crew will handle the details, so he can focus on, well, the plumbing. He doesn't need to be in the room. He knows Zoro will fight for them, and he knows Nami will make sure they get paid for it.
And Nami's trust is just as strong, but in a different way. Igaram is in complete despair. He's on his knees saying he's failed as a guard, that he let his princess down. He's looking at Zoro, this grumpy, hungover swordsman who just agreed to help because of a loan. And Nami just calmly tells him not to worry. Because the guy she just blackmailed into helping, she looks at Zoro and says without a hint of doubt that he's monstrously strong.
Chills, man, chills. That's the first time we've gotten a real objective confirmation of Zoro's power on the Grand Line. Not from Luffy boasting about his cool crewmate, but as a guarantee to a client. She's not hyping him up. She's stating a fact to close a deal. Zoro is a monster, and he's their monster. The asset she's leveraging in her billion-belly negotiation.
It's a pivotal moment for Zoro's identity within the crew. In the East Blue, he was a known quantity, the famous pirate hunter. But here, on the Grand Line, he's a nobody. Nami's reestablishes his role. He is the crew's force of nature. And just as she says that, as she makes that promise, the scene cuts to the person who needs that monster most.
Vivi. She's on her giant duck Karoo, trying to make a break for it. The whole town, all the people who were just celebrating with them, are now revealed to be bounty hunters, and they are all down for the count. She's cornered by the two real threats, Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. The situation looks completely hopeless.
And then we get a truly surprising moment of sacrifice. Miss Monday, the strong woman that Zoro just effortlessly defeated in a drinking contest, steps in their way.
The same woman Zoro just humbled. She was part of a trap, but now she's standing in front of Vivi, trying to protect her. She knows she can't win. She knows what these two are capable of. Mr. Five is her superior officer in this strange organization, but she stands her ground to buy Vivi a few seconds. That's honor, bro. That's a warrior spirit.
I think it's something colder than honor, Franky. She says it herself. They'd all be punished for failure anyway. This isn't just a noble sacrifice. It's a calculated decision based on pure terror. She has two options: face Mr. Five and Miss Valentine now, or face the punishment from their boss, Mr. Zero, for letting the target escape.
Her choice implies that Mr. Zero is far, far scarier than the man who can make his body explode.
Whoa, that just makes it even more intense. You're saying she chose the quicker death, and Mr. Five, he doesn't even see it as a challenge. He's not angry, he's just disappointed, like he's filling out termination paperwork. One clothesline and her whole body just explodes on impact. It's brutal and casual, and it tells you everything you need to know about the power gap between the lower tier agents and the officer agents.
He confirms his power right after, the Bomu Bomu no Mi, the bomb fruit. He's a full-body bomb man. Any part of his body can explode without harming him. It's a terrifyingly powerful ability, simple, direct, and overwhelmingly destructive.
And what does he choose to weaponize with this incredible power? The most disrespectful thing imaginable. He calmly picks his nose, rolls the snot into a little ball, and flicks it at Vivi.
He calls it the nose fancy cannon. The creativity is just on another level. He gave a man the power of a nuke and had him weaponize his own bogeys. It's disgusting, it's hilarious, and it's absolutely deadly.
It's the perfect distillation of what makes some villains so memorable. The ability is absurd, but the application is terrifyingly lethal. It's a small projectile which makes it hard to dodge, moving at high speed and carrying enough explosive force to level a building. Vivi and Karoo are frozen in terror. They have no way to stop it. There's no escape.
But she doesn't have to stop it, because just before it hits, we get that sound. That perfect, clean sound effect that we all know and love. The sound of unsheathed steel.
Shing!
And the bogey is sliced clean in half. It's a perfect cut. It sails harmlessly past Vivi, and the two halves detonate on the buildings behind her, creating these massive explosions. The danger is gone. And standing there, sword drawn, is the monster Nami promised. Zoro has arrived.
And his first words aren't a cool catchphrase or a threat. He's just disgusted. He complains that Nami forced him to cut a piece of snot. It's so perfectly in character. He's not here for glory or justice. He's here because he's in debt to his navigator, and the job is already proving to be grosser than he anticipated.
He's not impressed, he's not intimidated, he's just annoyed. He's like a plumber who's been called in to deal with a really nasty clog. This is just a dirty job he has to get done. And of course, Vivi, in her absolute panic, thinks he's another enemy. She attacks him with her weird peacock slasher things.
It makes perfect sense from her perspective. The whole town just turned on her. Every friendly face was a mask hiding a bounty hunter. Why would this random green-haired man be any different? The last she saw, he was defeating all of her supposed allies single-handedly. For all she knows, he's the strongest of them all.
And Zoro just casually blocks her attack with the flat of his blade. No effort at all. He doesn't even look threatened. He's just tired. And then he says it, plain and simple. I'm here to protect you. That's it. Mission accepted. The monster Nami promised has been delivered right on schedule.
While Zoro is handling the physical threat, Nami is back with Igaram, digging into the intelligence. She's not just content to know they're being targeted, she needs to know why. She asks the million-belly question, or in her case, the billion-belly question. Who are these people?
And that's when Igaram gives them the name, Baroque Works, a secret criminal organization. It even sounds sinister. It's not the Dawn Krieg Pirates or the Arlong crew. It's a proper noun. It sounds like the freaking CIA.
And this is where the story truly opens up from an Island of the Week adventure into a massive, sprawling saga. Igaram lays out the structure, and every detail is more chilling than the last. It's a vast network of thousands of agents, all working for one single boss, whose identity is a complete secret to every single one of them.
Mr. Zero. Even his code name is a mystery, an absence, a void. How do you get thousands of people to follow a ghost, to risk their lives for a man they've never seen and whose name they don't even know? That's some next-level cult leader stuff.
You give them a dream, a twisted, tantalizing dream. Igaram says the ultimate goal of Baroque Works is to create an ideal nation. That phrase alone is terrifying. History is filled with tyrants who sought to create their own utopia, and it always begins with the destruction of the current world.
That sounds bad. That sounds really, really bad. Whenever someone in a story starts talking about creating a perfect country, it never ends well for the people already living there. It's a license to commit any atrocity in the name of a greater good. It's a blank check for evil.
It's the classic motivation for a tyrant, and it's the carrot. The stick is the brutal internal hierarchy. The agents seem to be paired up, like we see with Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, and they're ranked by number. The lower your number, the higher your rank and power. Success gets you a better position in this future nation. Failure, as we just saw with Miss Monday, is not tolerated. It's corporate culture enforced with lethal force.
And Igaram gives us our first real power scale for the Grand Line. He says the officer agents, numbered 5 and below, are abnormal. We know Mr. 5 has a devil fruit power, so you can only imagine what the others are capable of. That's the baseline for the officers.
And there are 4 male agents and their female partners ranked higher than him. Mr. 4, Mr. 3, Mr. 2, and Mr. 1. We have no idea what they're capable of, only that they are progressively stronger than the man who can level a building with a boogie. And then, at the top of this pyramid of monsters, is the ghost, Mr. Zero. The sheer power of this organization is staggering. It's unlike anything they have ever faced.
While Nami's getting this world-shattering, conspiracy-level lore dump, we cut back to Luffy. He's finished his business, he's walking back to the party, probably humming a tune, thinking about the next meal. He's happy. And then he sees the carnage.
He stumbles upon the town square. 100 unconscious bounty hunters, men and women who just an hour ago were offering him food and drink, laughing and celebrating with him, are just scattered across the ground, defeated. But Zoro's nowhere to be seen.
He has no context. He didn't hear Nami's plan. He didn't hear Igorum's plea. He didn't see them all pull their weapons. He just sees the aftermath. A town full of kind people who gave him a feast, now beaten and unconscious. And we know who the strongest fighter on the crew is, the guy who was looking for a fight all night. Luffy puts 2 and 2 together and gets 5.
Exactly. And just then, down the road, he sees him. Zoro with his swords drawn in a standoff with 2 strangers and the princess cowering behind him. To Luffy, it's an open and shut case. He just sees his swordsman, fresh from what looks like a rampage, now threatening a scared woman. He doesn't know she's a princess. He doesn't know the others are assassins. He just sees Zoro looking like a villain.
It's everything. It goes back to Shanks giving his arm for him after the mountain bandits mocked him. It goes back to Zeph giving his leg for Sanji on that rock. It's his entire philosophy in a nutshell. Share your food, protect your friends. And from what he can see, Zoro just took a sword to that entire philosophy. He just spit all over it.
It's the perfect storm of misunderstanding, a collision of 2 immovable objects. 2 of the crew's core pillars are about to collide. Zoro's unwavering commitment to the mission he just accepted, which involves protecting their client,
and Luffy's simple, ironclad black and white definition of right and wrong, which begins and ends with how you treat people who feed you. There's no gray area for Luffy on this. You're either good, or you're the kind of person who hurts people after a feast.
And Luffy doesn't hesitate. He doesn't ask for an explanation. He doesn't say, Zoro, what happened here? He sees a friend who has, in his mind, committed an unforgivable betrayal of his code. He processes the scene, comes to a conclusion, and acts.
His voice just cuts through the entire scene. He yells Zoro's name, and the look on Zoro's face is pure shock. He has no idea why his captain, his friend, is looking at him with such pure hatred. He was just doing the job. He just saved the princess.
And the way he says it, it's not a request, it's not a question, it's a declaration. Luffy tells Zoro he's not going to forgive him for this, and he's going to fight him. He is going to kick his ass.
Super heavy. That's a heavy, heavy moment. It's one thing to fight an enemy, but this? A true civil war is brewing inside the Straw Hat crew before they've even really started their journey. Unbelievable. What a masterclass in cliffhangers.
This chapter sets up so much. The scale of the enemy, the internal friction of the crew, the stakes for an entire kingdom. It feels like the end of the prologue for the Grand Line. The fun and games are over. Okay, but think about what this means for the next chapter. There are so many moving parts.
Hey, while you're thinking about it, if you have a theory about how this fight is going to go down, drop it in the comments. We love reading how you all think these impossible situations are going to get resolved.
That's a good idea. So, predictions for chapter 112. I'll go first. I don't think Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are just going to stand there and watch. They're professionals. Their mission is to eliminate Princess Vivi. They'll absolutely use the distraction of the Straw Hats fighting each other to try and grab her or assassinate her. Their real mission will be jeopardized by this infighting.
Ooh, I like that. That's smart. It adds another layer of tension. For my first one, I'm going to say this fight starts immediately. There's no more talking. Luffy is not in a listening mood. The next chapter is going to open with a Gomu Gomu no pistol, and it won't be a friendly one. Zoro is going to be forced to draw his other swords just to defend himself from his own captain's full power assault.
My second prediction is that we'll get a cutaway. We've just been introduced to the structure of Baroque Works, and it makes sense to reinforce that. I believe we'll see another higher-ranking Baroque Works agent, maybe Mr. 3 or even Mr. 2, receiving a report on a Denden Mushi. They'll learn that the Unluckies are down and that the entire Whisky Post outpost has fallen, establishing that the organization is already reacting to their presence. It'll show us that the clock is ticking.
I like that, showing the wider web. Okay, I'll go for one more. I think Nami is the only one who can stop this. She's the only one with the full context besides Zoro, who is too confused to explain, and Luffy, who is too angry to listen. She's going to hear the commotion, run over, and have to physically throw herself between them. She's not going to let her 1 billion belly payday get ruined because Luffy got the wrong idea about a party. Her financial motivation will be the thing that saves the crew from itself.
So you think Nami's greed will overcome Luffy's rage? An interesting hypothesis. The unstoppable force meets the truly immovable object.
It's the strongest force in the universe, bro. We'll have to see next week. For now, that's all the time we have. This has been Inherited Dawn.
Join us next time as we break down Chapter 112, Luffy versus Zoro, the battle we never knew we needed and maybe don't want to see.
It's gonna be super chaotic. See you then.